Okay, so today I'm doing a video about books I'm really scared to read. So these are books that are on my TBR or on my bookshelves, and I've had them for a while, sat there, and I've yet to read them. Or it's just ones that I think I want to read it, but I'm scared that I'm not gonna be able to get over it. So let's start, okay? You're never gonna guess what we have to start. Binding 13. This book is so damn popular on TikTok. It makes me scared to even read it, because first of all, if I dislike this series, people are gonna come at me on TikTok. The cover's really pretty, but it's also massive. It's also really daunting and long. It's I'm gonna die reading this. I just have a feeling, and I've heard it's sad, and my willingness to cry is. So this book, it's also the fact that it's so popular on TikTok, but it's so popular with Americans. And I have no hate to Americans, but a lot of readers of this book have Americanized it, if it makes sense. They've made the characters seem like they're from America and not from Ireland, where they are actually from in the book. And it makes me nervous to actually read this, because if I like it, then I'm entering a fandom that's like that. And I don't want that toxic behavior near me. Especially with how some of the people treat some of the characters. I've not read it yet, but I have a feeling there's going to be a hell of a lot of complex characters, and I don't want to be part of, I don't want to have to interact with small-minded people, basically. Because if there are a lot of complex characters and people are really horrible about them, I'm not afraid to call them out. I'm not afraid to get cancelled for saying, hey, so that's actually a complex character. On my TikTok, I made a video about one of the Throne of Glass characters, I genuinely don't know how to pronounce his name, about how he gets a lot of hate, even though he was going through a lot of the time, and he was a really complex character. So I'm kind of scared that the complex characters that I know are in this book are gonna get mistreated by the fandom. The next book, this has been in 2 of my videos before. This is on my TBR, along with Binding 13. I am terrified to read this. I know I'm going to sob my eyes out. I'm going to I'm going to cry in an unholy manner. This is going to destroy my mental health. I can't wait. I'm scared. Also, I don't have the second book. I want to read the second book. Somebody who's read the second book, is it worth it? I need to know. But I'm scared to read it, if that makes sense. Another thing about this book, it's also really popular on TikTok. I actually haven't seen it popular recently. It's been popular, but I think it kind of dropped off since 2024. I'm not sure. It's not that long. I think I could read this. I might read this soon. On the so I'm recording this all before I go to Italy. So I might read this in the all-nighter I'm pulling, which will be in a different video. So, yeah. Now, this one, I have not seen much on TikTok. Actually, I have seen a bit, but I've not seen much. It's When the Moon Hatched. I got this recently, and I read the back. Oh my god, I cannot wait. But it's also, big book, and it seems like the type of fantasy book that's either going to be, there's going to be another book coming out, or it's going to mentally destroy me, and I'm going to have to mentally recover, and it might put me into a book slump. I'm not prepared to be in a book slump, if that makes sense. I like reading. I've just bought a lot of books. I need to get through all of these unread books that I have. I genuinely cannot get to a book slump right now, and if a really good fantasy book does that to me, yeah, I'm done. This has been on my TBR for nearly 2 years. The writing is so tiny. I'm genuinely, after I get my new glasses prescription, I'm going to read this, just so I can. But, again, it was really popular on BookTok. I don't think it is anymore. I've not really seen much about it. But it seems, it's like a romantasy, I think. I can't wait to actually try and start this. But I don't really have much else to say about the fact that it has really small writing, and I've had it on my bookshelf for so long that I might actually struggle to read it. My next one, Kingdom of the Wicked. Again, another thing I've had on my bookshelf for really long. I don't have the rest of the series, but it looks really interesting. The cover's really like nice. The plot sounds really good. Again, fantasy books that mentally destroy me is something I'm not ready for. I want to read something good, and if these books are really, really good, yeah, I'm done for. I'm going into a slump. I nearly went into a slump after reading Fearless. I literally didn't read for 2 days, and usually I'm like book to book. Like, I finished Rule of Wolves at like 2 a.m. last night, and not immediately, but I started The Unsinkable Greta James today, so it's usually quite fast between the books I read. Yeah, after Fearless, yeah, no. And if this happens again, I don't know if I'll recover from it. Fourth Wing. I'm scared to read this for many reasons. The first reason, the entire series isn't out yet, and my issue with that is nothing bad. It's just reading a book when the full series isn't out is like torturing yourself slowly. Because when there's cliffhangers, especially in fantasy books, which love doing cliffhangers, it's like slowly burning, and I don't want to burn. I want to be happy. Also, this book is really, really popular on TikTok. Like, there are a lot of people that love this book, and then there's also a big demographic of people that don't like it. And I've seen the people that don't like it getting way too much hate on TikTok for sharing their opinion about a book. And it scares me to read this, because if I don't like this series, might be getting cooked. My friend is currently reading this book. She says it's really good, but then like, I'm worried that I'm gonna struggle to enjoy it, because sometimes when it comes to books on TikTok, the more I see people saying it's the best book ever, the less inclined I am to actually read it and try to enjoy it. So I think I might need to give myself a break before I read this, because I have a really bad mindset around popular books. I had the mindset about A Court of Thorns and Roses. Weirdly, I didn't have it about Throne of Glass, but when I went into A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first 70% of that book was so dull, I struggled. But then when I started to read the rest of the series, I started to enjoy it and understand the hype. Maybe this will happen with this one. Maybe it'll start off and it'll be amazing, like Powerless. I'm hoping for something good. No, this one's going to be difficult to get out. Sorry. So, the Kings of Sin series. I don't have the last 2 that have come out, because I was in a reading slump when they came out and couldn't get them at the works. And now I can't find King of Sloth anywhere. Gulp. But I'm scared to read these. I read the Twisted series. Oops, everything's falling now. Last year, probably earlier than that, like 2023, 2024 time. I liked those books. 2 out of 4, amazing. 3 out of 4, over 3 stars. Twisted Hate? No, was not a fan. These books, I'm scared that it's going to be similar. I'm scared that I'm going to dislike them. But I'm also kind of hoping that I love them, because I liked this one. I read this one actually ages ago. I barely remember any part of it. Definitely going to reread it. Maybe I'll enjoy these, maybe not. Hopefully. I've not been reading romance much lately either. These books. Rose Hill. I haven't even taken the sticker off this one. Rose Hill, I haven't seen much about it on TikTok, not as much as the Chestnut Springs, but Elsie Silver has, like, I've read one of her books and then she's become like a go-to buy for me. So I'm kind of worried. Like, I'm just nervous to read more romances after being so heavily, like, I've been loving my fantasy books recently, like, eating them up. So I'm kind of scared to go into a romance, like a little cutesy cowboy romance, if that makes sense, after reading hardcore fantasy where it's like, I would die for you, I would sell my soul. So that's why I'm kind of like nervous about going into fantasy books, not fantasy books, romance books, after so much hardcore fantasy, because if I dislike any of these books, which my mum's read 2 out of 3 and she loves them, But if I dislike them because of the fact that like TikTok and everything and just a lot of stuff coming together, I don't know how my mother would handle that. And I also don't know how I would handle that because I really like romance. Now another book I'm scared to read is The Way I Used to Be. I've read the first page of this. Genuinely, I might cry when I'm reading this, and while I love crying when I'm reading books, it's also a case of I'm going on a lot of like holidays over the summer and I want to read this quick. So it's a case of I read this in September or I cry my eyes out sharing a room with my mother in Isle of Wight. I also know that this is going to be really emotional for me, as I have known many victims of what the girl in this book went through. And I just think it will be very difficult for many reasons for me personally that I don't want to indulge in on this account, because it's meant to be like a fun account. But I'm also excited to read it, to read from the perspective of somebody who needs to save herself from trauma that she's had. So I'm kind of hoping, like, I'm scared, but I'm also not, if that makes sense. The Cruel Prince trilogy. So as you know, The Cruel Prince has always kind of been popular on BookTok, on BookTube, on TikTok. In general, this series has been popular. I haven't read The Cruel Prince in a while. I read this in like beginning of 2024. Let's leave it be. Let's ignore that. I recently got Queen of Nothing, and I refuse to reread The Cruel Prince and read The Wicked King without getting this book. So I'm glad I finally got it. But then it's also a case of I'm scared to read it now because of all the hype it's got on TikTok. What if it's another overhyped book that kind of like disappoints me? Again, I read the first book, and when I read it back in 2024, I kind of was like, Carden's a bit of a dick and I didn't like him. So I'm kind of hoping it gets better. I'm hoping it's not as bad as I'm thinking it's gonna be. I think that's it. I can't think of any more books that like I'm particularly scared to read, except for maybe Vampire Academy, and I'm too lazy to go and get them. And also I want to read the Alex Rider series, but then that's a very long series, quite a lot of books. So those are like, I want to tackle them this year. Like I'm trying to get some of these read this year, if that makes sense. So yeah, thank you for watching. This is going to be quite a short video after I edit it. Yeah.